All right, so we are running a good 10-15 minutes late, but just a few questions. Anyone got a question? Put your hand up. I'll start with one. Sydney seems to be obsessed with light rail. Melbourne has trams and Gold Coast has light rail. What about Brisbane? Any thoughts? Any interest in light rail and infrastructure?
Well, many people in the room would know there's been a number of schemes done around the Bris Tram idea, and they didn't quite get over the line. But if I could propose just one route from the CBD to the University of Queensland, I think that would be a very successful connection that would really start to display the value of light rail in this city.
Excellent, thanks. And David, any thought?
Yeah, I think probably the Queen's Wharf project puts a bit of demand on the transport resources to that part of town, and with the Cross River Rail now sort of on the back burner, I guess it's perhaps time to reconsider that. Excellent.
Questions? Anyone? All right, a final question then from me. Queen's Wharf is a city-changing project, and I know you're a little bit limited, Malcolm, in what you can say. But yeah, interested in your thoughts in terms of what you think Queen's Wharf will add to Brisbane as a development.
My view?
Yes.
I think it will certainly help put it on the map. I think the most recent major addition to Brisbane over the last 10 years has been South Bank, last 20 years. It's really created another CBD over there, and that's been a beautiful, I think, addition to the city with the open space. Queen's Wharf's quite a different approach. It will certainly bring, I think, a lot of life back into the city, and I think that's essential for a growing city of this size.
Excellent. Any other questions? No? All right, lovely. Well, thank Malcolm and David for their time this morning. Thank you. And I'd like to invite one of our sponsors up to the stage from Brookfield Multiplex, David Eden. David is a highly experienced and valuable member of Brookfield Multiplex senior leadership team. David holds a Bachelor of Applied Science, Construction Management from QUT and has held senior positions within Brookfield Multiplex in both commercial and construction management. David has been involved in the successful delivery of several major projects in Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, Perth and on the Gold Coast, and has had a leading role in the construction of iconic buildings such as Q1 and Circle on Cavill and Gold Coast, as well as Brookfield Place in Perth. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Renee, and can I start by offering our thanks to all of the speakers this morning. A really interesting discussion and some common themes throughout all of the discussions around the problems on height constraints and consistency of planning authority decisions. Look, heard some really interesting things from Phil and David in Victoria. Phil spoke to us about consistency in planning and government decisions and about the population growth and residential-led push that's really driving Victoria. David spoke about the changing nature of how people typically live in our cities and also about the restrictions around CASA and the plains limiting our height growth. In New South Wales, Ken spoke to us about the opportunities out of the North West Rail Metro project. Chris spoke to us about a number of things. You know, some interesting takeaways from Chris's discussion was around Sydney requiring double the current number of homes during the next 50 years, an amazing stat, and the role that he sees that towers will need to play in meeting this challenge. Chris spoke to us about the vision to build taller. I'll just pause on that for a minute. I had a meeting with a guy in Hong Kong 3 weeks ago, and we sort of discussed a number of opportunities, and just as we were wrapping up, he said to me, "What's the best project site in Brisbane?" And I told him what I thought it was, and you may have heard one of our speakers mention it today. He said, great, what can we put on it? And I said, well, the problem is that we're height capped at RL 274 with some Civil Aviation Safety Authority heights. And he said, yeah, but how tall's that? And I said, well, 90 floors is about what we can get. And he said, you can't put 180 on it, eh? So, you know, I think that really rang true when Chris was speaking about our need to push and challenge those height restrictions. Then we go to Queensland, and we heard Malcolm talk about river and urban amenity opening up, and the notion of Brisbane and the Gold Coast being twin cities that complement each other. David spoke about Sunland's focus on end users for their residential project, which really is an interesting point, and it's it's something that's very contrary to the most of the development in the market at the moment that we're seeing. David also spoke about Sunland's vision to opening up properties to public amenity, and we saw that with their visions for the work on the Spit. Look, I'd like to wrap up. We're running a bit late, so again, thank you very much to all our speakers this morning. Phil Gardner, the Managing Director at Irwin Consult, David Waldron, National Executive Design Manager from Grocon, Ken McBride, a Principal at Hassel, Chris Johnson, Chief Executive Officer at Urban Task Force, Malcolm Middleton, Queensland Government Architect, David Brown, Head of Special Projects at Sunland Group, and thanks very much to Renee, our moderator this morning. Brookfield Multiplex is very pleased to be able to support both specifically this event and more generally the CTBUH. Over our 53 years, starting out as a small privately owned family building company in Perth and growing into a large global contractor, we've got a very strong heritage in tall buildings, and there's our 20 tallest towers there, and you can see number 4, I think it is, the Index in Dubai. That building actually won a CTBUH award in 2011 as the best tall building in Middle East and Africa. So please join me again in thanking all of our speakers, and morning tea is now ready before the next session. So thanks very much.